Is your fear of failing stopping you from even trying to achieve the goal that's really important to you? Or to what extent do you always want to do well just to avoid the feeling of failing or falling short? Fear of failure is defined as the negative consequences that result from our perception of falling short in a goal that is really important and meaningful to us. Those perceived consequences that we think will happen when we fail are experiencing a loss of self-esteem, experiencing shame and embarrassment at the outcome, thinking that our future might be uncertain. For example, if we want to compete and if we have goals of becoming a pro in a certain federation, the shame and embarrassment and the uncertainty of whether that will actually even happen in the future. But also the fear of important others losing interest in us because we think we've fallen short, and losing social value. So for example, thinking that we're going to disappoint our Instagram followers because we didn't come first in our show. Experiencing a fear of failure can look and feel quite different to each person, but typically what we see in the health and well-being world or in the fitness world, it tends to be something like self-sabotaging yourself and stopping yourself from achieving your goals by engaging in behaviors that you know are not going to be conducive to that ultimate end goal. It might also look like not working as hard as you know you could be working, because then at least you know you can blame it on, oh well, if I tried harder, I would have gotten to where I wanted to be. It might also be a matter of masking anxiety with excuses, such as not having enough time to do one thing or the other, not having enough time to prep your meals in advance, and just kind of making up all these stories that you then tell yourself or you tell others as an explanation as to why you didn't achieve what you thought you might have achieved or what you would like to achieve, because then it just makes it easier. It gives it an explanation as to why you didn't get there. But a fear of failure can also look like procrastinating, putting off something, or equally just being a busy idiot, filling up your time with a bunch of stuff that is not going to get you to where you want to, even though you know that if you juggle things around a little bit, you'd be able to get there. Now, there's nothing wrong with experiencing a fear of failure, and actually it's quite normal. When you want to do something, when you want to achieve something, more often than not, like, you will have some degree of anxiety about whether you'll be able to achieve it, and actually you might not want to tell the rest of the world that you're out on a quest to achieve something that's been important to you for a really long time. And often we might think that actually having a fear of failure might propel us to work even harder at a goal. But what the evidence seems to suggest is that when a goal is motivated by a fear of failure rather than an enjoyment of the process, it becomes far more difficult. And actually the outcomes at the end, in particular in regards to our well-being, can be far more detrimental. As such, developing a healthy approach to failure, which is going to be inevitable regardless of what you're embarking on, is the first step. And the most important thing to do is to make sure you've got someone keeping you straight and someone who actually believes in you. So if you don't have a coach already, reach out today, because that is the first step to making sure that that fear of failure doesn't cripple your journey and doesn't stop you from getting to where you want to get to. What a coach can do for you is create that self-belief in you that by working hard you can get to where you want to be, but your coach will use positive language and they'll motivate you rather than putting you down the way you might do that to yourself. What your coach will also do for you is make sure that the environment they're creating is one where learning is prioritized, where your exercise execution is optimized, where your nutrition understanding and diet is made the best it can be for you to help you feel your best. And by doing that, they'll help you feel more in control, and ultimately feeling in control of the situation, managing to control the controllables is what's going to help you feel better and more confident about getting to where you want to be, and it's what's going to stop you from self-sabotaging, for example. What your coach will also do is they'll set really high expectations for you, but they'll encourage you to get there. They'll set enough challenge, but they'll also be there to support you throughout the journey. And if you've not watched my previous videos on challenge and support and how that helps you develop resilience, that is what your coach is there for. They'll be able to put the tools in, they'll be able to put the systems in there to make sure that the journey to success, whatever that might look like for you, is supported, and that by the end of the process, you're a better person, a more well-rounded human, not just someone with a better physique. That can be proud of the things that they've learned through that journey. And most importantly, a coach will remind you that not achieving your goals that you maybe wanted to achieve is completely separate to your self-worth. They'll be able to remind you that You are an incredible person out with any kind of health and well-being goals that you might have set for yourself. And that's what's the most important thing in this whole journey. So in a nutshell, if a fear of failing is stopping you from even attempting a goal, or if you're only ever motivated to do something because you just don't want to fail at it, you really need to take stock at why those beliefs are there, and you need to reach out to myself or to Vaughan and Ali today, because that's something we can help you put in place, and that's something we can help you overcome so that you can become the best version of yourself.